Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 415. This episode, as always, is presented to you by our great friends at Boost Mobile. We are on the precipice of my favorite sports weekend of the year. NFL Divisional Round weekend. Typically 4 absolutely unbelievable games. Usually you have at least 6 of the best 8 teams in the league over the course of the season playing this weekend. This year, one could argue you have all 8 of the 8 best teams in the league playing this weekend, with the one exception being my Jags not making it. But I don't know who you'd put them over. The Bills, who just beat them, the Texans, maybe the Niners in their current form, whatever it is. Basically, all the right teams are playing, and I can't wait to get to it. We also have coaching news from overnight and from since we last talked, so let's get right to it. We'll go straight to voicemail, brought to you by our friends at Boost Mobile. Anthony Davis, evidently out weeks and not months with a hand injury, not going to have surgery. Giannis booed by the Bucks fans and then boos back. You're saying the fans are ungrateful?
Ungrateful, yeah.
Here's the thing on that quickly. I know Giannis took it as if they were booing him. I don't think they were booing him. I think they were booing the 2026 Milwaukee Bucks. And I think that part of their frustration is that team can be that bad despite having Giannis. But it sure seems like that relationship has run or is, run its course, and that it could be the best for all parties to move on. But I didn't like any of that. Giannis looked really sad on the bench. And then afterwards, he was like, I always boo when I get booed, but those are road games. Like, I don't know. Also, just now, Jonathan Kuminga demanded a trade. He's never been happy there. And the really cool 1-point slam, 64-person tennis tournament, winner gets $1 million. They play 1 point each game. And an amateur ended up winning the whole thing. He beat Sinner in the round of 16 because Sinner faulted, and then beat young lady when she hit it out in the championship. He won $1 million. I actually watched that. It was pretty sick. Damonza, how are you?
Cinema. I'm good. I'm doing pretty good this morning. No complaints.
Right after you, either on the air or off the air, last recording, mentioned some stupid Twitter meme about like 4 pictures being one picture or whatever, and all of us were like, we weren't really that familiar with what you were talking about. And you said, well, maybe I'm showing my own immaturity or something. This is my algorithm. The White House did one. So I don't know, man. We're just living in the dumbest timeline. Reminder to everybody, like, rate, subscribe, review to the show. Again, the thumbs up, the hitting the bells on YouTube is helpful. Leaving us a nice review, we appreciate that. But what literally pays the bills are the subscriptions. And the cool thing about the subscriptions to this is it's totally free. So if you would subscribe on YouTube, it would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe on iTunes or Spotify, it would be greatly appreciated. All right, let's get to the overnight news of John Harbaugh going to the Giants.
John Harbaugh agreed to go to the Giants last night, and a little bit before that, and shortly after our last show, Tomlin had stepped down as the Steelers coach. We'll talk about that in a little moment. But what do you think about Harbaugh going over to the Giants? Sorry.
I don't say this often, but I totally agree with Dan Orlovsky. This is the best thing to happen to the Giants since they won the Super Bowl. Sincerely, there are 2 things. No, there are 3 things that really matter in the NFL to being a perennial contender and avoiding being a perennial laughingstock. The first one is avoid having atrocious ownership. So the Giants stadium mates, the Jets, they just have atrocious ownership that will always be in their way. I think the Browns have atrocious ownership that will always be in their way. The Giants have had one of those three kind of benchmarks down, and they have good to very good ownership in the Maras. The second thing you need is a legitimate, true, professional head coach. They now have that for the first time since Tom Coughlin. Obviously, the third leg of that stool, if you will, is the quarterback. I don't think they have that, but maybe they do, and if not, you'll see how you can paper it together while you try to find the quarterback. But if ownership will stay out of the way and you have a legitimate head coach, once you have the quarterback in place, you can instantly contend. The Bears and Patriots are showing you that right now. That, and I've said this before, I will say it again, if you have the right coach and the right quarterback, the rebuild is somewhat instant. And if you have had the same coach and quarterback for 2 years, not 4 years, not 6 years, 2 years, and the team is not competing at the very least where playoffs are the expectation, then you don't have the right coach or you don't have the right quarterback. There are no instances of awesome coach, awesome quarterback, but it took us 4 years to get it together. That flatly doesn't happen. And so the Giants got the best coach that was truly available. And I say that because I don't think Tomlin is truly available. I think Tomlin's going to take a year off and survey the landscape. Because none of these jobs are great jobs. I ranked them on the TV show yesterday, but 9-1, the way I had it. Let me pull up my exact list. Number 9 was the Browns because of that ownership problem, because of the cap issues created by the Watson contract, and because they don't have a quarterback. Number 8 is the Titans, to me. Now, if you love Cam Ward, then that job moves up the list. But even if you love Cam Ward, they only have one other player on the roster you could love in Jeff Simmons. And ever since Amy Adams-Strunk took over, they have just been a revolving door of front offices. They move off Vrabel. It's been a disaster. Number 7's the Dolphins. Again, no quarterback. They have not had a head coach there since Don Shula, last longer than 4 years, and they're in a rough cap position. The Cardinals, I put at 6 because I think it's a very tough division and they don't have the quarterback. The Falcons are an interesting one. Super soft division, have won 7 or 8 games in 7 of the 8 last years. They do have some talent, and I don't think Blank's a terrible owner, so that, it makes that a decent job. I put the Giants at 4. They've got money, they've got a D-line. They might have a quarterback. I'm skeptical, but that also is I think, not the hardest division. The Raiders I put at 3 purely because I think if you believe in Mendoza, that number 1 pick plus the fact that you have a ton of money to spend makes that somewhat attractive, but That to me feels like a better job for a young offensive-minded guy that wants to grow with Mendoza than 62-year-old John Harbaugh. Now, the flip side of that is while the Raiders don't mind paying coaches, the Raiders since Art Shell, which was 1994, in the last 30 years, they have had 2 head coaches get at least 3 years. Jack Del Rio and John Gruden twice. And they have had a dozen other coaches get less than 3 years. So that hamster wheel will spin. And then the Steelers 2, Ravens 1. Obviously, Harbaugh wasn't going to the Ravens. The Steelers, I think that they were not going to hire a coach his age, and because they want that coach to be there for 15 some years, ideally. And so I think the Giants are a great job for him. I don't expect a snap contention, but I do think that all of a sudden the Giants could be a 500-ish team next year. I think that's a legitimate possibility, and I want to see what Jackson Dart looks like. Don't love Scattaboo and Neighbors both coming off major injuries, but this is a great day for Giants fans. Flatly. This is probably the happiest you've been since the boat party playoff game against the Packers with Odell and Eli at the end of Eli. And it's the best day for your franchise since you won a Super Bowl. All right, let's talk a little Tomlin here, Damonza.
So Reed is now the longest tenured coach over there in Kansas City. Do you think that Tomlin's potentially waiting to take over Kansas City?
So I don't think that necessarily, but I also don't think that's crazy. So the last head coach of the Steelers was Bill Cowher. Bill Cowher left after 15 years, went to CBS, and for about 5 consecutive coaching cycles, Damonza, Bill Cowher was the number 1 candidate. And he never left the job. He's still doing TV on CBS. He just stayed there. I do think it's on the board that Tomlin goes and does TV and never stops. And is like, I'm not making coaching money doing this. I mean, he was making $25 million a year, reportedly, from the Steelers. But I'm making millions and millions of dollars for 2% of the work. I love it. So I think it's on the board. It wouldn't be my bet, but I think it's on the board that Tomlin does not coach again. I think that's possible.
Okay.
And because he's going to have such a great job, and because he's young enough, he can be very choosy. So, for Mike Tomlin, if I had to bet on the next job for Mike Tomlin, my bet would be the Philadelphia Eagles a year from now. I think that is a job that will come open in the next few years, and that Tomlin, that's a great job. So when we're thinking of it, so the reason I don't think the Chiefs thing is a ludicrous idea is because at some point during Patrick's career, Andy's going to retire. And the moment that happens, that becomes one of the greatest job openings of all time. Again, assuming Patrick comes back.
Coming?
Well, I mean, Andy's older than you think. And so, I mean, Andy is, in 2 months, he turned 68. So, again, the reason I think it's not far-fetched is because, or not insane, is because I could see Tomlin staying in TV for more than 1 year. Sean Payton stayed for 1 year, and then the Broncos traded a pick to the Saints to get him. If Tomlin comes back in the next 2 years, his team would have to do some type of compensation with the Steelers. I don't think the Steelers, though, would throw up too many roadblocks. But I could see, you just got to think about what are great jobs that realistically could come open. The Packers are a very good job, and it looks like LaFleur's, a little tenuous at the moment. The Eagles, I expect to come open. The Bills, at some point. Let's see. Let's see how this year goes. And McDermott is
Baltimore insane? I know we don't have a coach right now. Maybe we get a coach. Doesn't work.
Well, that's the thing. So, I think Baltimore is insane because it's open now. No, okay. I just think because it's open now, and he's not he's not going there right now, and so what I was saying about McDermott is McDermott's kind of on the perma warm seat, and he could end that this year. They win the Super Bowl, he'll be the coach there for probably the rest of Allen's career. Zach Taylor and the Bengals. The problem there is I don't know that that's a good job, even though Joe Burrow's awesome, because of ownership. And so you look around, but my money would be that Mike Tomlin is going to be the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles in a year. That's where I would put my money. But I don't think I think there is a chance that in 3 years he's still doing TV. And what pulls him away from that is Andy Reid retiring. I think that's possible. All right, I know you got one more follow-up.
Do you think this eliminates any chance of Rodgers coming back, or at least at the start of the season for next year?
It certainly eliminates any chance of him coming back to the Steelers. Certainly.
Right.
And I don't think Rodgers is going to be a week 1 starter for anybody next year. I still think he might play again, but it would be, a mid-season addition after an injury. All right, before we get to my favorite sports weekend of the year, today's show is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. Miami's made the national championship. Hard Rock Stadium is going to be rocking. And if you're going to the game, Hard Rock Bet is giving you a $10 bonus bet to get in on the action. If you're watching the game out in Miami, head to the Hard Rock Cafe Miami, Duffy's North Miami Beach, American Social Miami, or Batch Brickell. Hard Rock Bet is dropping $10 bonus bets there too. You can turn that free $10 bonus bet into a big win by placing a same game parlay. Or, even if you're just watching the game at home, still no better place to bet the national championship than Hard Rock Bet, because it's Florida's sportsbook and they're going crazy with promos for this one. So if you're late to kickoff, don't worry. Hard Rock Bet has live in-game betting, so you're never too late to the action. Find a winner, live bet between snaps, and just a few easy taps. If you haven't tried your first bet on Hard Rock Bet, there's still time for you to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Just place a $5 bet, and if it hits, you get not only your winnings, but also an extra $150 in bonus bets. Even if your team is out of the playoffs, that doesn't mean you have to sit on the sidelines. Between same-game parlays, live betting, can't miss welcome offer, and new promos dropping every day, Hard Rock Bet has you covered all postseason long. Hard Rock Bet. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit today. All right, let's talk Rams-Bears, Damonza.
All right, so your MVP, Matthew Stafford, escaped Carolina last week, and now they get to go and play the spicy Bears, who keep getting these improbable wins. Do you think that last week's game was too emotional of an output for Chicago Bears and the fans this week to overcome? I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I do think there is an element of that game validated their season. And there was such a catharsis from that stadium to come back the way they did, to do it against that team, the hated rival. And I thought the Bears crowd played a real factor in the comeback, and I just don't know that I expect the crowd to be a 12 out of 10 again. I also think that the Bears' injuries during that game, a banged up defense, losing another linebacker, and the left tackle being out maybe for next year as well, but certainly the rest of this postseason with a blown ACL, they were already behind the 8 ball here. And now I think people know how much I like the Bears, how much I like Caleb, and how impressed I've been with Caleb's late game heroics. But I feel like they're going up against the best team in the NFL. And I think, Damonza, they are going to need to score 40 to win this game. I think the Rams are going to be able to move the ball at will against this Bears defense. I think what you saw Green Bay doing in the first half against the Bears, the Rams are going to be able to do the entirety of the game. And I think Devontae Adams now knocked some of the rust off in the last game. He will be a bigger factor. Puka is simply unguardable. And if I'm a Bears fan, I am just worried that there are going to be guys running wide open all throughout the game. And like what we saw in that game for the Packers, even in the second half, when, who was the number 6? Oh, Kyler Gordon was getting picked on repeatedly. I think that Sean McVay is going to draw a big red circle around Kyler Gordon and hunt him. They probably can, the Rams have enough weapons. They can stay away from Jalen Johnson. I don't know that the Bears pass rush is going to be able to disturb Stafford that much, because Stafford was, pretty, somewhere from pretty good to super exceptional in almost any scenario, but he was unbeatable if you didn't get pressure on him. I don't know if they're going to get pressure on him, and I think this is a really tough game for Chicago. It would be remarkable if they win it. If they win it, they either are then hosting the Niners in a rematch of the 42-38 classic that we saw in Week 17, except this one's in Chicago, or they're going to Seattle feeling like we've got the better quarterback. Let's see what the hell happens. But
if Carolina could score 31, they could score 40, huh?
I actually don't think so. I think the Panthers game was misleading on the overall quality of that Rams defense. And I also still don't totally understand how the Panthers scored all the points they did. I mean, Bryce threw for 260, but they only ran for 80, and it was just, go ahead.
They scored that exact same amount of points the last time they played them. It was 31 points. There's something.
And the Rams defense, after starting the year off great, gave up 31 to the Panthers, 20 to the Cardinals, 27 to the Falcons, 38 in overtime to the Seahawks, 34 to the Lions. You know, as you mentioned, 31 a couple weeks before that to the Panthers the first time. I think the Rams pass rush is going to have more of an impact in this game with that injury to the Bears starting left tackle. Again, I think Caleb will play well, But, and again, we'll do our pick show tomorrow, but this feels like 42-27 to me. Like,
Okay.
I
No, I mean, I do believe
just,
the offense is going to be humming for the Rams. I don't think they'll run into too many problems.
I just don't. I don't know how the Bears slow them down. Forget shut them down, slow them down. This would be, to me, a remarkably impressive win. And the only way the Bears win that I can see is if Caleb plays the best game he's played as a pro. If you get late game Caleb for the entirety of the game. And I think that's just hard. It's a hard ask.
So you hinted at if Stafford retired out of the NFC this year, that Caleb would be the best quarterback in the NFC. How important is this head-to-head matchup in that theory?
Well, I think that if he were to win this game, some folks would argue he doesn't need Stafford to retire. He's just going into next year the best quarterback. But I don't think Stafford's retiring, to be clear. But I right now would rather have Caleb than Dak or Jaden or Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love or Jared Goff or Baker or Purdy or Darnold. The only guy in the conference that I would rather have as my quarterback is Stafford. And I think that the only hole in Caleb's game right now is accuracy on easy throws. Like, that's the one part of his game that is below average at this point. And I'm going to give him credit that from year 1 to year 2, the biggest thing he needed to improve on was not taking awful sacks, and he fixed it. And then from the beginning of year 2 to the end of year 2, the biggest thing he needed to improve on was the pre-snap operation, getting out of the huddle on time, not having these procedural penalties, and he fixed it. So now the biggest thing he needs to improve is that the accuracy on what I would call simple passes. So I'm going to give him credit that he'll be able to fix that. So I am as bullish as one can be on Caleb, and I think he's just scratching the surface on who he can be. All right, let's talk about the next game.
Niners and Seahawks face off for the third time this year with the NFC Championship game on the line. We know San Francisco has been plagued with injuries, and Darnold seems to tense up in the bright lights. Which one do you think is a bigger liability in this game?
I think it's the Niners' injuries.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Darnold is going to need to have a huge game. I mean, these two teams have played twice, once in week 1, once in week 18. And the final scores were 17-13 Niners in week 1 and 13-3 Seahawks in week 18. No George Kittle. Poor Christian McCaffrey just being run into the ground usage-wise. Pardon me. That Niners defense, so incredibly banged up. I think Seattle, as long as Darnold doesn't truly melt down, the rest edge is also so substantial for Seattle that, having the bye versus the Niners playing Sunday, a Sunday war into a Saturday game. This has been a 10 out of 10 brilliant coaching season for Kyle Shanahan. But I feel like the end of the road is this weekend. And it would, them in back-to-back weeks, both games essentially without George Kittle, We'll see about Pearsall this week, but last week they didn't have him. Going to the defending champion Eagles and then going to Seattle and getting 2 wins would be all-time stuff for an undermanned team. And I think Seattle has earned our respect on their resume is they beat the Jags. They beat the Texans. They beat the Rams. They beat the Panthers. They beat the Niners. Their losses are a 2-point loss to the Rams, a 3-point loss to the Bucs, and a 4-point loss in week 1 to the Niners. So 2 of their 3 losses, they played that team again later in the year and beat them. That Rams loss, Darnold had 5 turnovers and they were still right there, or 4 turnovers, I'm not sure. And I just think that Seattle is too well-rounded of a team, too healthy and too rested to lose this game. All right, what are your follow-ups here?
Did the committee hesitate or struggle at all to put a team with a shaky quarterback atop the tiers?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Seattle has earned the right to be considered the best team in football.
Yeah.
But if they play the Rams, I'll pick the Rams, and if they play the Bills, I'll pick the Bills. I mean, and so Seattle has earned the respect that they get that spot atop, everybody's power rankings. But when push comes to shove, there is a level of trust I'm just not going to be able to have in a Darnold Stafford playoff matchup or a Darnold Josh Allen Super Bowl matchup. What else you got here?
So on Purdy, it sounds like you kind of been changing your tone a little bit on your thoughts on him. If he goes and balls out against his defense, are you officially ready to give him a new conversation?
Well, listen, the games and how you play in the games have to matter. And
he's played good.
Even though Purdy had those, one really bad and one kind of bad pick against Philly, I thought all things considered, that was an impressive, gutsy performance by him.
And he rallied.
If he follows that up and plays well and they beat the Seahawks, then of course, I can't have a closed mind.
Like, where is he, like top 5?
I don't know.
They're
No, he wouldn't
top
be top
6 or 7.
I don't know. I don't know, but I do know that I have been impressed with how he played that Seahawks game, not at the end of the season notwithstanding, down the stretch of the season. That Seahawks game, it was a rough one for him. He was 19 of 27 for $125, and threw the pick at the end. But I really liked his overall performance in that Eagles game, even though that pick near the end was really, really bad. I thought the pass to McCaffrey was awesome. I thought his escapability and scrambles were really important. I was impressed by him in that spot. Like the games, particularly playoff games, weigh very heavily in how I feel. And doing it shorthanded and undermanned is wildly impressive. All right, let's talk about the AFC.
A team that you have not believed in whatsoever, playing a team that you have believed in through and through throughout the season, the Bills and the Broncos. Are you putting the Broncos on fraud watch in this game?
I don't think the Broncos are frauds. I do think, however, that if they lose this game, there will be a lot of looking through their season with a fine-toothed comb and the question being asked, how good were they really? And I think that'll be fair. They are playing a shorthanded Bills team. They are at home. They are healthy. They had the bye. And this Broncos team that they had moments of wildly impressive play, but they also, down the stretch of the season, they had one excellent game, the Packers game. They got blown out at home by the Jags. They're tied 13-13 against what was left of the Chiefs. They are a 2-point conversion from Josh Johnson away, or was it Mariota? I don't even remember in that game who it was, from losing to the Commanders. They beat the Raiders 10-7. They beat the Texans 18-15 in a game. They knocked out CJ Stroud. Jets game came down to a potential field goal at the end. They're holy shit, look at the Broncos moments this year were the 21 straight points to come back against Philly back in early October, beating the Cowboys 44-24, and that Packer game when Bo Nix played out of his mind and they beat the Packers 34-26 with, a late touchdown to ice the game when it was 27-26. It's not that that's not nothing. And the fact that they found ways to win matters. But if they lose to Buffalo, last year they played Buffalo in the playoffs. They started the game up 7-0. They lost the game 31-7. The Bills, you now have a banged up Bills team. If you are the team, your fans and your coach, more on him in a second, have sworn you are all year, you'll win this game. I have major doubts about it. And if they don't win this game, when they're, I had this, sorry, let me pull it up real quick. When you had the 1 seed and you had all of these things kind of working for you, and next year, Damonza, the Denver Broncos play, in no particular order, the Bills, the Rams, the Seahawks, obviously the Chiefs twice, the Chargers twice, the Niners, the Jags, the Panthers, which I get are a playoff team, not a great team, but a playoff team.
Yeah.
The Steelers. I'm leaving some. I left out one of their tough games.
Oh, I mean, I think
life can come
Yeah.
Life can come at you fast now. I left the Patriots are another one. And so big difference in how we'll view the Broncos if they win this game and lose in the conference championship game. Obviously, anything past that, make the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, it's a 30 out of 10 great season. But just winning the one playoff game, getting that monkey off your back is so important. And Sean Payton's been writing checks all year. And up to and including this week when he was a total jerk to that reporter for asking about Dre Greenlaw coming back for no reason whatsoever.
What was that? What did
I don't.
Sean,
I mean, a reporter asked him about Dre Greenlaw attacking downhill in the run game, and Sean Payton's like, "What do you know about attacking downhill in the run game? You don't know anything about that." When he feels like he's in the catbird seat, he doesn't appear to treat people that well. And you win this game. You've been talking all year about this team being Super Bowl caliber. Last year, You said, had you not gotten curb stomped by the Bills, you thought you were going to beat the Chiefs, the team that then went to the Super Bowl. You now have them in your building and you're rested, and the Bills have 3 receivers left. So we'll see. Again, the pick show tomorrow, but I'm leaning strongly Buffalo. And we'll talk more about the Bills side of things in tomorrow's show. Are you thinking about upgrading to the all-new iPhone 17 Pro, designed to be the most powerful iPhone ever, but you're also thinking about traffic on your way to the store, transferring all your data, the hassle of all that? Good news. When you order a new phone online with Boost Mobile, they'll send an expert to your home or work to deliver your brand new iPhone 17 Pro and get you all set up on Boost Mobile within minutes. No hassle. Visit boostmobile.com to get started. Delivery available for select devices purchased at boostmobile.com. Terms do apply. All right, last game, Damonza, before we play a game the producers put together and get some of the questions from earlier in the week. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we saw Drake Maye struggle a little bit against the Chargers. The big thing on them was their strength of schedule, and they haven't played anybody, and they played somebody and they struggled a little bit. So the challenge gets a little bit harder this week in Houston, and they have that hellacious defense coming at them. So how are you feeling about New England going up against Houston this weekend?
Listen, I think that Houston defense has a chance to carry them all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But that Houston offense is so inconsistent. It allows, as bad as the Steelers offense was on Monday night, that game's 7-6 entering the fourth quarter. It's 10-6 before the strip sack touchdown. The Houston earlier this year forced Josh Allen into one of the worst games of his career and dominated the Bills. And despite that, with 25 seconds left, or more than that. I'm looking at it right now. With 40 seconds left, the Bills have the ball at Houston's 17, down 4 points. Meaning, even though the Texans played basically as well as you can play defensively, the Bills had a chance to steal the game. It's just such a hard way to do business when your path to winning these games is our defense is going to carry us. And while we have seen teams do it, the games feel like they are going to consistently be in the balance at the end. The most famous example of a team's defense in the modern-ish era carrying them to the Super Bowl is the 2000 Ravens. That 2000 Ravens team allowed 23 points total in 4 playoff games. They won their 4 playoff games 21-3, 24-10, 16-3, and the Super Bowl 34-7, Damonza. And that 7, by the way, was a kick return. So
Dogs.
it's not even it's not even, so I said they allowed 23. They really allowed 16. And so what are the other instances? I'm going to pull it up right now. The 2002 Bucks would be the other another instance of a team's defense just dominating. That Bucks team allowed 6 points in round 1, 10 points in round 2, and then in the Super Bowl they won 48-21, but there were multiple defensive that Bucks defense that allowed 21 points also, Damonza, had 3 pick sixes to score 21 itself in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And so the one other example.
And are you arguing that
just
these
real
are
quick,
more? Oh, sorry.
hold on, just real quick. The one other example would be the 2015 Broncos defense was dominant, but they had Peyton at the helm. And even though Peyton was not really Peyton that year, it was still Peyton Manning. And it felt like he could at least put the offense in good positions. The 2013 Seahawks are a team that comes to mind. And they might be a better example of kind of what I'm worried about for Houston. That 2015 Seahawks team, or 2013, as dominant as that defense was, the Niners have the ball down 6 inside the 10-yard line in the final moments of the game, and that's when we got, you try to test me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's what you get from Richard Sherman. They were still one pass away. It's just a hard way to do business.
Yeah.
And so I also think the Pats, on the other hand, are so much more dangerous now that Drake Maye got those first playoff game jitters kind of out of the way, because you saw him play better in the second half. What was your I interrupted you. What was your question?
Oh no, I was saying, were you arguing that those defense were more dominant than this Houston Texans defense? Because I mean, it sounded like those scores were pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, the 2000 Ravens most dominant defense in 40 years.
Right.
I mean, they're in a separate category entirely.
So with us describing,
I think it might be on par with the Legion of Boom defense.
Okay.
But the Legion of Boom at least had good Russell Wilson and Marshawn Lynch, and C.J. Stroud's just been so bad.
Do you think he's still a franchise quarterback, or? And he just lost his wide receiver 1. Is Nico even playing in this game?
No, I mean, Nico's probably. I would be shocked if Nico plays. It's weird because Stroud and Josh Allen are the only quarterbacks to both win. They're the only quarterbacks in the league to have won a playoff game each of the last 3 years. But Stroud was bad Monday night.
Yeah.
His previous playoff victories, he hadn't been bad. He was bad in that one.
What do you think is on the board with Drake Maye and a good performance against his defense?
Oh, I mean, that would vault him. If Drake is, I think there are ways for New England to win without Drake being really good, because I think the Texans defense is so shaky, or Texans offense, pardon me, is so shaky. But if Drake lights up this defense, that'll be the performance of the postseason so far. We'll give you our picks on the Picks show, which comes out tomorrow. But evidently there was the Olympic ticket draw for LA residents yesterday, Damonza. Explain how this worked, and then we'll do this before we get to the listener questions.
So yesterday, LA residents were able to enter into the ticket raffle for the ticket draw for the 2028 Olympics. If you get drawn in March and April, you get a shot at buying first tickets. You're able to pick from 5 sports. I picked 4 sports. You're gonna guess what my sports were, and then you'll you'll tell me what I should fill my final spot with, and then lastly, you'll tell us what you're looking most forward to in the 2028 Olympics.
Okay. All right. Your 4, 2 are obvious. You definitely picked basketball.
Fair.
You definitely picked track and field. Am I wrong?
Okay, I did not. Oh.
You did not. Track and field should have been the number 1. Okay, well, then that has to be your 5th pick. That's the single best ticket.
I like track and field. When I was going through and seeing all on the list, there were some that popped out more to me than others. But yeah, I did not pick track and field.
All right, well
basketball is 1.
That has to be your 5th. I think you might have picked flag football.
I did.
Okay, I thought you might pick flag football. I think you might have picked boxing.
I thought about that one pretty heavy. I did not pick that one, but yes, I would have. Yeah, I like that
Did you
one
pick
too.
3-on-3 basketball?
No.
I wouldn't either. I think that's smart. This is interesting.
So you got flag football, basketball, and then there's two more.
Beach volleyball?
No. Thought about that one too.
Did you pick any combat sport?
No. No.
Oh,
No
I thought you might
combat.
have gone taekwondo or judo.
No.
Skateboarding?
No.
All right, I'm not going
It's,
to get
it's
this.
closer to home
then
than you think.
What did you pick?
One of them was diving. I like diving, and I just think it's so hard, and just seeing them pull that type of stuff off. And
Wow,
then
I'm
lastly,
shocked by that.
we got tennis. We
You don't like
got
tennis.
No, I love tennis. You know, all the talk about it throughout the show, I've gained a liking to it. You know, Medvedev, Djokovic, those
Yeah.
guys.
All right, mine. Here's what I would not have picked tennis because I can see tennis elsewhere.
Okay, but this is the Olympics. It's not the best guys
yeah,
going
but
there.
yeah, but the best guys play in all the majors. So so here's what I would have picked. Track and
Okay.
field's my number one pick with a bullet.
I mean, because isn't that just like a large umbrella of a bunch of stuff underneath there?
Well,
Track
yeah,
and
it's all
field?
the
It's
yeah,
like
all
shot
the
put.
races.
Oh, my
Yeah,
bad.
but that's the field stuff is not as fun. But
It's just the track part
100
that you're-
meter, the
Yeah.
4x4, all of it. So I'd pick track and field. I think I would pick water polo,
Okay.
which is awesome. I would pick gymnastics. The
Yeah.
two hottest tickets are going to be track and field and gymnastics every time, no doubt about it.
Okay.
And I
Damn.
would pick swimming.
Yeah, I can't.
So-
That one I can't get on. The other ones I do find exciting. I enjoy
can't believe
watching
you
those as
picked-
well.
Diving.
You don't
I
like
might-
diving?
Not really. But maybe it's because I can't do a regular dive, so I'm not as impressed by it as you are.
I think
But
it's
I
pretty
like
cool.
stuff that I'm not going to be able to watch elsewhere. So, like, I would consider rugby. Boxing is interesting because it's so much purer than regular boxing. Lacrosse is a great sport, but I can watch that elsewhere. But if you get these tickets, Damonza, I'll buy them. Like,
Okay,
if you
hell-
get selected. But you have to put track
I
and field as your
appreciate that
last,
because I'm
as your
assuming
last
these
one.
are crazy. But yeah,
Um,
no, I'm down for track and field.
Well, to be clear, I didn't mean I'll buy them and give them to you. But I mean, I'm saying
just-
if you get
Oh,
them,
you're
I'll
just
buy
buying them and then you're going? Oh.
Well, maybe go, maybe I don't know what I'll do. But I'm saying if you
Thank
get
you.
selected, don't say, "Oh no, I can't afford them." We'll
Yeah,
figure it
100%.
out.
Fair enough.
Okay, all right. Let's get to some of the listener questions. From
It was
Tuesday and
Tuesdays.
then into Thursday. Yeah.
Anaki says, one question from a fan in Spain. Do you think the Bills could beat Denver or Houston with the type of methodical drives they had in Jacksonville? I can't see Shakir with 61 yards after catch.
No, I think that against either of those defenses, Josh is going to have to run a little more. But I also think they wouldn't need 27 points to beat either of these defenses. All right, next.
Acuity says, if anyone not named Stafford or Allen win the Super Bowl, can we avoid the whole Hurts is a top 5 quarterback thing again just because he wins the Super Bowl?
Listen, I think that Jalen Hurts legitimately had a claim after last year's Super Bowl as top 5 quarterback. He is a couple years removed from finishing top 3 in MVP voting. He was unbelievable in the final 2 weeks of the playoffs last year. They won the Super Bowl. Like, that was Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, Hurts was a fine opinion to hold. He then fell some this year, obviously. So, he's You are not like if Bo Nix wins the Super Bowl, I don't think, or Sam Darnold, I don't think people are going to say that guy definitive as oh that guy's top 5 quarterback. Hurts had a bigger body of work, including a previous Super Bowl appearance.
He played really well in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Khalil asked, "Do you think Houston is scarier now since they won like that with CJ playing bad?"
I would feel that way if I thought CJ was about to start playing well. But I just think that's what CJ is going to be doing. So no, I don't think they're scarier. All right, next.
The Lilt Man asked, question for Damonza, when healthy, based on the playoff runs you've seen this far, who's having the more magical year, Caleb Williams this year or Jaden Daniels last year? And I'd have to say Jaden Daniels last year.
I think Jaden last year was more impressive up to this point than what Caleb's done. What Caleb's doing feels sturdier for me than Jaden. And, we'll see.
More sustainable.
And we'll see how much of this for Jaden was just injuries and whether or not he's going to be able to fade those injuries moving forward. All right, let's go to some of the questions from today.
Curtis asks, out of the remaining playoff teams, who is most likely to miss the playoffs next year? And who do you think could get even better next year?
Out of the remaining playoff teams, the team I think is most likely to miss the playoffs next year is Denver. Because that schedule that I just laid out to you.
Yeah.
And the team that I think get better next year is the Bears.
Yeah. I definitely would have said Bears better.
The Niners should be healthier, but I don't, they won 12 games anyway. And so I don't know how much better they'll be. All right, last one.
And then Scott asked, Nick, who goes after Malik Willis? Cleveland, Pittsburgh, or do you see him elsewhere?
Not Cleveland. I think Pittsburgh's a possibility. I think Arizona is a possibility. I think that Miami's a possibility. And I think the Jets are probably the favorites for him. Because now that Dante Moore is going back to school, I don't know what they're going to do. All right. Damonza beat me in picks last week. He has been the gambling sage of the show this year. His teasers crushed. And then in his picks against the spread, he went 4-2. We will get to our picks from last week and our 4 picks for my favorite sports weekend of the year in tomorrow's show, which we're about to do right now. So we appreciate everybody listening. Check out the feeds, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, for the pod that will drop tomorrow morning with our divisional weekend picks. Huge thank you to Volume and to Hard Rock, and of course our great Volume and Blue Duck, and our great sponsors Hard Rock and Boost. Talk to you guys tomorrow for our divisional round pick show. See you then. What's right?